When Pope Francis was asked point blank on national television by a mainstream reporter, is homosexuality a sin? Pope Francis answered point blank, yes, homosexuality is a sin. When some liberal German bishops asked Pope Francis if they can bless same-sex unions, Pope Francis answered point blank, no. The church cannot bless same-sex unions because God cannot bless sin. However, Pope Francis showed the sinner, the homosexual sinner, Christ-like love so abundant that his critics, the anti-Catholic Pope haters, accused him of not teaching homosexuality is a sin. In fact, he went so far as to encourage priests and fiducia supplicants, paragraph 31, to give homosexuals the blessing of actual grace, which is actually a prayer of actual grace, the grace that delivers us from evil, a grace that gives you the strength to repent from your evil lifestyle. And they flipped that and said, oh, fiducia supplicans is giving them the right to bless same-sex unions. And I was like, did you actually read this? Most of the people that are criticizing it didn't even read it. But what Pope Francis taught us is basic Christianity. What we get when Jesus forgave the adulteress, said, I don't condemn you, but go and sin no more. What we believe as Christians is we love the sinner, but hate the sin. The Catechism tells us this. The Catholic Catechism says homosexual acts are disordered. They're disordered. They're not normal. The acts, however, the person is to be treated with integrity and respect and seen as a child of God, made in the image and likeness of God. Again, hate the sin, love the sinner. And the Catechism goes on to say that the church doesn't know why this happens. We're not going to, people have debated, they used to say in the past it was the way the kid was brought up. Some say it's the toxins they receive during pregnancy and right after birth. There's many different opinions on this. The church doesn't doesn't give an opinion on that. It just says it's very prevalent in our society, and the Catholic Christian has to carry a heavy cross, but he can remain celibate and carry that cross and become holy and become a saint. So when I talk about Nick Fuentes, I'm saying this man needs prayer. He's a 27-year-old kid who needs prayer. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because he has a large following of young, influential men. And because he professes to be a Catholic, a lot of Catholic men are following this kid. And the Catechism describes detraction as saying something that's true, but it's going to hurt someone's reputation. So unless there's a reason to say it publicly, you shouldn't say it. So I prayed about this before I decided I need to bring it out. And I need to bring it out because he's leading a lot of young men into sin. And I'll explain why. So first, if you're not familiar with Nick Fuentes, real popular. I think he's got like 1 million followers on Instagram, a bunch on Rumble. I think he was banned from YouTube. But he was always considered fringe. He says stupid things like Hitler was really cool. Blacks have lower IQs than whites. Jews inherently are evil. Just like really bad stuff. I know a lot of good Catholic Christians and a lot of good Protestant Christians that might disagree with the state of Israel and how they're conducting their war against terror. And that's fine. But this guy actually says like Jewish people are evil and black people are dumb. So he's racist and anti-Semitic, and he laughs about it. And he thinks it's cool. He thinks Hitler's cool. So these are some of the dangerous things. And when I heard he was getting popular even amongst people I know and I like, friends of mine saying, oh, this kid's really good. I looked at him and I told you, I'm like, I agree with Tucker Carlson's first assessment of him, that he's an angry gay kid. He's a little angry gay kid. He seems angry, he seems gay, and he seems like a little kid, a little boy. But my gaydar isn't the best. Sometimes I get it wrong. And I said I showed my daughter whose gaydar has been like 100%. And what I mean by gaydar, like you can tell if someone's gay or not, her gaydar has been 100%, as long as I've known her. And I think she's 28 now, 29 maybe. Lose track of the kids' ages here. But, and there was a lot of things he said, but today I got the proof of it, and I'll give you that in a minute. A lot of things that he said was, sounded gay, like he found it disgusting to kiss a girl. He thinks that's disgusting. Said he never kissed a girl, has no interest in girls. What else he say? He's good friends with Milo Yiannopoulos, who was openly gay for the longest time. Now he says he's been healed and he's actually attracted to women, I think. He's looking for a wife. But he was really good friends with him. That doesn't make you gay. I don't have any gay friends, so I don't know. It seems a little gay to me, but, it's just me. I'm just, I'm a traditional guy, I guess. So that's kind of weird. But, I know in these young kids, he's 27, he could have gay friends. All right. But today the proof was there. To me, it's, you got to look at the evidence, and the evidence is overwhelming. So I was listening to Dana Lash, conservative radio host, and I guess I didn't realize she had a YouTube, but it popped up on my feed while my wife was shopping, and I was just waiting in the car. I hate shopping. So it pops up on my feed, and she's talking about Nick Fuentes going on Tucker Carlson. And she was talking politically, and yeah, to me, this is more about Catholicism, this channel. But I had a Rumble channel, it's just hard to navigate, so I don't make too many videos on there. But I would have really talked about the political implications, what the left does. So anyway, her whole thing was this guy Nick is becoming acceptable in mainstream. She said Tucker, interviewed him with no pushback. And usually if you watch Tucker, he pushes back hard on guests, especially like conservative Republicans, like Ted Cruz. He like destroyed them. And Ted Cruz was like, whoa, I thought I was amongst friends here, but Nick Fuentes, like, it was like a love fest. It's kind of gay, actually. So she talked about that, and she talked about the Heritage Foundation, who's, been like a conservative think tank for years, since I've been an adult, solid conservative think tank, and how like they showed one of his videos or something. I don't know. I don't know what she exactly was talking about, but the points that she made was, a lot of my audience don't know who this kid Nick is, so I'll just tell you a little bit about him. And she showed clips where he said he thought Hitler was cool, and all this racist stuff. But then she said that she said while he was live streaming once, he hit an open tab on his computer, and his gay porn went live. And I don't know anyone who has open tabs with gay porn on. That's gay. Let's be honest. So of course she didn't show it. So I went, I did a little research, and I found on Reddit, very liberal part of the internet, of course, because he says he's a conservative. So of course they wanted to show this. They actually showed it happen, and it was obviously he hit the wrong tab. You could see it. And it was so disgusting. I had to shut my phone off. You actually see two men. It was totally disgusting. I almost vomited, to be honest with you. So the evidence is there. This kid is gay. And what's dangerous about this, and she even says she feels like, conservatives are doing, we're doing really good. We just won, we won the House, won the Senate. Trump closed the border. He's doing everything, everything that conservatives wanted. We're winning. And yet you got this kid Nick that are getting men mad at the conservative party. They say, no, I'm not a Republican. The Republicans suck. And I know people like that. Oh, they're all the same. They're not all the same. You know, Republicans and Democrats are not the same. They've never been the same. And with Trump, it's even more of a chasm between our values and theirs. But he's causing a lot of people not to vote. And he's causing them, like, probably J.D. Vance, if I were to bet today, if the election were held today, he'll be our next president. Maybe Marco Rubio. I've always been a Rubio guy. I've never wavered from that. But either one of them, they're like our two best options. And he's got people hating J.D. Vance, saying he's a plant, he's this, he's that, he's a Manchurian. Like, just all these crazy conspiracy theories around J.D. Vance. So she's saying it almost seems like he's a plant from the left. And I have said that too, but if I was a conspiracy theorist, I would believe that, but I'm not. But he's just saying what he believes. And he's probably angry at the Republican Party because they are so anti-gay. So he's a gifted speaker. I mean, I said before, if I had half his gift to Gab, I could do this full time and make a living and wouldn't have to go out to work. But he has a definitely gift to communicate. Very well spoken, very educated, very smart. And they're the best con artists. They're the best grifters because they can flip it. And he pretends he's this conservative. He was on board with Trump, but then Trump did something he didn't like. So now Trump is horrible and the Republican Party is horrible. And he's leading a bunch of young Republicans out of the party. So, I mean, what better gift can you give the Democrats? That's the political side. But what's the Catholic side? He preaches Catholicism. Like, he knows the catechism. He knows what the council says. So he talks about him. And when he's talking on him, he sounds like he's for real. So he's got a lot of Catholics. Well, this guy's Catholic. And they follow him. And then because Catholicism, we're not dispensationalists, which means, we don't believe like the Protestants that, the Jews are still God's chosen people. We believe that the Catholic Church is now the new Israel. So he takes that to the extreme and says we should hate them. And he goes against what the church teaches. Pope Francis said to be anti-Semitic is not to be Catholic. You can't be Catholic and anti-Semitic. Pope Saint John Paul II said the Jews are elder brothers. Pope Benedict said the Jews are the fathers of our faith. So we're not to hate the Jews. We could disagree with their politics of their state. But even Pope Leo just had a whole homily on anti-Semitism and says that's unacceptable. And when he was asked if there's a genocide happening, he said, no, I don't agree there's a genocide. We think that Israel, at the time, before Trump got a peace deal there, before the peace deal, he said he thinks there should be a complete ceasefire and the Hamas terrorists should release all the hostages. That's what Pope Leo said. And a lot of Catholics believe Israel overdid it in their response and allowed too many innocent people to die in their fight against the Hamas terrorists. But we're not to hate Israel. We're not to hate Jews, And again, religiously, it flips the script. I just posted, and I think I did videos about Nigeria. 125,000 Christians brutally tortured and murdered by Muslims just for being Christian. Sudan, just the other day, like 1,000 Christians were brutally murdered by Muslims just for being Christians. It's happening all over the world. There's a global jihad, and they're about to elect a mayor in New York City who called for a global jihad, said he supports a global jihad. Imagine a socialist Muslim is about to become mayor in New York City. So this is the battle we're in. This is the real battle. And Nick Fuentes said he doesn't think Islam is as much as a threat as Israel. So we're a Christian army. We're soldiers. We're not pacifists. I mean, we fight spiritually. St. Paul said we don't fight against flesh and blood, but against spiritual principalities. So we have to know how to direct our prayers. But when the Muslims attacked us 9/11, the Catholic Church wasn't pacifist. We're not Amish. One of the greatest heroes on the war of terror was Michael Mansour, a dedicated, devout Catholic, Navy SEAL, who when a hand grenade came and landed in the middle of him and his Iraqi counterparts and his Navy SEAL teammates dove on it and gave his life because there's no greater love than a man lay down his life for his friend. And he was a devout Catholic and gave his life for his friends. He was a Catholic. I've done many programs about Catholic chaplains who've gotten the Medal of Honor during wars. They've been in every war. So we're not pacifists. But who do we fight? The Muslim terrorists that attack us? If you listen to Nick Fuentes, he's raising an army that wants to fight Israel. You know? But it's not against flesh and blood. Right now, for Americans, it's against spiritual principalities. And so I believe a lot of Catholics are being deceived and are getting filled with hate towards Israel. They're getting filled with hate towards the Catholic Church, the Pope, and the Vatican. And guys like Nick, who they can talk. I mean, he could probably beat anybody on YouTube in the debate because he's quick on his feet and he talks really well. You know, I grew up in the inner city. I tell you all the time. I had family members that were the best con artists. They could steal your face right off your head and you wouldn't even know it. I've seen these con artists. I've seen these grifters. I know what they're about. And the only reason I'm talking about it is because he's getting a lot of following of Catholics. When I make my political channel, I'm going to try and make a political channel here down the line if I ever get the time. And I'm going to talk about guys like that, how they hurt the conservative movement in America. So pray for Nick, because it is a heavy cross he carries. You know, he's choosing to direct it through anger at Israel and at blacks. Some use it to direct it at the Pope and at the Vatican. And then there's some that submit to the Lord and admit, and they, like Fiducia Supplicans said, if someone comes to you and destitute, like admitting their poverty, their spiritual poverty, paragraph 31, Fiducia Supplicant, and they don't legitimize their relationship, they're like, listen, I'm in this gay relationship and I know it's wrong. Please give me a blessing. Those people deserve a blessing of actual grace where the priest can bless them and pray that they can be delivered from this evil homosexuality. They can be delivered from this sinful lifestyle. Actual grace gives you the grace, because we can do nothing apart from Jesus. The Council of Trent condemned, anathematized anyone who thought by their own good works or by following the law they could be saved. They said, no, apart from Jesus, we can do nothing. Jesus himself said that apart from me, you can do nothing. So we need to pray for Nick. You know, I'm not angry with him. I don't hate him. I just hate him leading Catholics astray. So I'm serious when I say he needs our prayers. God bless and stay Catholic.